Welcome in to another stitch tutorial. I'm here today to show you about the linen stitch, otherwise known as moss stitch. Now, this is actually a stitch that simulates woven material like linen, hence the name. Now, this is done in an even number, so chain an even number as long as you need. So once you have your foundation chain, you want to go into the second from the hook. So this does not count as a stitch because it's not finished. So we're going one into the second for a single crochet. Now I use US terms. If anybody's wondering, there is no single crochet in the UK. I only do US terms. And timestamps for everything are down in the description below, as is the link for the lady in Serbia that makes these wonderful hooks to your specification. Anyway, I digress. We've done a single crochet, so we are going to chain one, skip the next stitch and go into the next for another single crochet. Like so. And we're going to chain one, skip, go into the next for a single crochet, and do that all the way to the end. Single crochet, chain one, skip one, single crochet, chain one, skip one, and carry on all the way to the end, and I'll meet you there. Okay, now when you get to the end, you will have two left, which is perfect. I've just done my single crochet, so I'm chaining one, skip one, single crochet in the very last. Now linen stitch is the same on both sides, so perfectly reversible. At the end we are going to chain one and turn. Now this is where the repeat begins. We are only going to be going into the chain spaces. So we're ignoring the top into the actual stitch. We are using the chain spaces only. So when you pull your work apart, you will see them. If I put it down here to show you a little bit better. So when you open it up, you've got a chain space and then the stitch, chain space, stitch. So there's another chain space hiding just there, and there's a stitch, chain space, and it's those chain spaces only that we're going into. Our first chain space, go into the space for your single crochet and chain one. Ignore the linen stitch and you're going into the next chain space. So in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through two for a single crochet. Chain one, ignore the stitch and we're going into the next chain space. Yarn over for a single crochet and chain one, and carry on to the end into those chain spaces. Now this looks absolutely brilliant when you've got several colours going on, and I am going to change colours at the end of this. And also linen stitch has a wonderful drape. It uses less yarn than a lot of stitches, and is absolutely brilliant for jumpers, for afghans, quick chunky baby blankets, dishcloths. It's a very, very versatile stitch. Now I'm at the end. I've just gone into the last chain space, but I still do have a stitch at the end. Perfectly fine. Just do a single crochet into that last stitch. Make sure you've got the complete V on your hook. yarn over, bring through, yarn over, bring through 2 to complete a single crochet and to keep a streaked edge. Now, that would be if you were continuing with the colour. I'm going to change it just to show you because it's the same pattern, but I'm going to grab my yarn from my wool genie. Whoops. Got it spinning a little bit too quick then. And you change your colour however you want to if you're going to change colour. I am, just to show you. So now I'm going to continue with the green. So I'm going to chain 1. Obviously, if you didn't change colour, that's fine. Finish your single crochet, chain 1 and turn. Now, as you will find out, your chain spaces are a little harder to see on this next row, but you'll be okay. You'll be fine. There's the linen stitch. There's a chain space. So let me just show you again. Okay, so we have the stitch here. There's a stitch. So there is the chain space. There is a stitch. So there's the chain space. There's the stitch with like 2 bars going up. And there's the chain space. There's the stitch with the 2 bars. There's the chain space. Keeping with those chain spaces, in for a single crochet, chain 1. Ignoring the linen stitch, into the chain space, single crochet, chain 1. There's a stitch. So there's the chain space, single crochet, chain 1. There's the stitch. So there's the chain space after it, chain 1. There's the linen stitch, into the space, linen, in, and just like on the previous row, chain 1, and then on the very end, single crochet. Okay, so your stitch is always with those V's. Now that's one reason why I wanted to change the colour on this for you. If you're struggling finding what bit is the stitch, you're looking for these legs, as it were, or the V, the peace sign. Chain 1 and turn, and let's do one more. There's the stitch, so there is a chain space before it, and a single crochet, chain 1. There's the stitch, so here's the chain, chain 1, chain space, stitch, single crochet, chain 1, there's your stitch, oops, see now what I didn't do, didn't chain 1. And there's your chain space, but it's a V, so we're going into the very last one. If I can get my hook through, chain 1, and you just carry on as much as you need to go. So make sure you're always aware where your actual stitch is, because you are using the spaces in between. Single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet, chain 1, skip 1. Let's get a hanky marker on there. There we go. Hanky markers are sold by me, details down below. And there is the linen stitch. Hopefully it was useful for you. Hopefully it's given you an idea or two. And hopefully I will see you again next week for another stitch tutorial. Take care. Bye-bye.